Am I the asshole for filing divorce papers after I said I would? I've been married for a little over 5 years. My daughter Faith, 22, female, from a previous relationship, lives with us while she finishes school. At the beginning of our relationship, my wife and Faith got on really well. However, I realized that my wife and I have very different viewpoints on parenting and handling conflict. My wife has no biological kids and came in when Faith was a teenager, so she didn't have to parent the same way she would if Faith was a toddler. We implemented some new tasks, chores, and house rules. Nothing major. Also, Faith has a small part-time job while in school and contributes towards groceries and rent. I agreed to support her as long as she was in school. My wife is OCD and conflict avoidant, which plays out as she gets upset when things aren't done exactly when and how she thinks they should be. For example, she complains or yells about Faith not unloading the dishwasher or not taking out the trash right that moment. But instead of addressing the issues with Faith directly, she asks me to do it, despite the fact that I've told her multiple times that she can and should speak to Faith. I end up enabling the behavior by telling Faith the list of complaints, and she corrects them for the most part with the occasional slip-up here or there, rinse and repeat. But then my wife started complaining to any of her friends who would listen about how I was not tough enough on Faith and how lazy and entitled she is. I very recently discovered that not only has she been basically shit-talking her and putting her down, but also telling people that I am a terrible parent who raised a spoiled kid. Yelling in her face and treating her like garbage is not a parenting plan. Last year it got to a point where I'd had it and flipped on everybody. I told Faith to get herself together and save up for an apartment, but I also told my wife that I'd had enough of how she talked to and about everybody in the house and that she needed anger management or therapy, and if she was unwilling to do that, I would absolutely file for divorce. Fast forward to a few days ago. After last year's blow-up, my wife has taken to not speaking to Faith unless she has to. The other night we got in an argument, and my wife basically admitted she hated Faith. She went so far as to call her a few choice names and say that she, my wife, would not be attending any holiday or family gatherings where Faith would be because she didn't want to be around her. Needless to say, I was stunned. I admit I knew their relationship was still strained, but figured they'd work it out as adults, which is what I'd asked them to do. As soon as we got home, I immediately went upstairs and printed out divorce papers. I told my wife I would be filing this week and left the forms for her to sign. All of our finances and things have always been separate, and while my wife works full-time, I handle 99% of the household expenses, so it should be a fairly quick process. This morning my wife sent me a text saying she didn't want a divorce and thought I was overreacting. I reminded her that she was told a year ago that if she didn't get counseling or learn how to better self-manage, she thinks she doesn't need therapy, and I just can't see her point of view, and that makes me a terrible parent apparently, that I would file for divorce. I also reminded her that I've always been a person of my word, so I don't know why she thought I was serious about it. She called me an asshole and said I was probably planning it all along. I wasn't. I promise this is very much the nuclear option. I love my wife, but I told her she's essentially making me choose between her and my kid, and that is a dick move. Even if Faith moves out, which she's planning to do anyway, I don't see the problem going away. I'm holding the papers until Friday when I can go handle it in person, and I still need her to sign a page. But before I blow up my marriage, I want some outside judgment on whether I'm the asshole for going this route after warning her I would.